Hello, YouTube world. Welcome back. Today, I would like to talk about Pluto, the planet of power, rebirth, transformation, death, all the things going retrograde. Pluto will go retrograde on May 6th till October 15th and will have a time meaning we will have a time as a collective to sort of get a little bit more introspective about how Pluto is working with our energy. Um, Pluto is in Aquarius right now, and Aquarius is the sign known for the collective, for groups, innovation. It has been in Aquarius starting since 2023, and it will be in Aquarius until 2040 something, maybe 2042. So I apologize in advance if you hear weed blowers and all those things. There is yard work going on outside my space, so I'm going to try to talk a little bit loud so it will not interrupt the flow of this, the connection, or just you being able to hear. So Pluto in Aquarius is going to be powerful, folks. We will have this transit for the next 20 something years, and it has already begun its work in our life. And it's going to be very powerful. Aquarius energy is the sign of innovation. It's the sign of, in tarot, it represents the star card. So it really is about finding your own eccentricity. Who are you outside of the box? And thinking about ways in which you shine within a collective of a group of people. So it's indeed going to be a powerful time. Pluto energy is, on the other hand, is about, a lot has to do with our psychological programming, our subconscious. It brings about massive destruction, death, transformation, rebirth, ultimately evolution. Pluto is the energy that is here to help us see who we really are. And so I think that's why it's going to be such a powerful time, because working with that Aquarius energy, where we want to already think of who we individually are in a collective of people and how our collective voice influences the ultimate, or the ultimate collective of the group. Working along with Pluto to really get in there deep in our psychologies individually, it's just going to be a dynamic duo to watch the two shift and change in great ways. If you can just think back to when Pluto was in Capricorn, which it was in, I think, from 2008 until it went into Aquarius in 2023 to stay. It's retrograded a couple times back into Capricorn, but now it is here to stay in Aquarius. But if you could think back to when Pluto started in Capricorn in 2008 until 2023, and just take a little snapshot of what your life was in 2008 until 2023, it kind of shows you just how much Pluto reveals certain aspects of who you are individually, who you are in a collective of people. And it really is a powerful energy. I wish I could say that I get excited when I talk about Pluto energy, but Pluto is definitely an intense planet, and it's an intense planet to work with. And so depending on where you have Pluto in your own personal natal chart, will sort of show you a little bit about your evolutionary growth and what you are here to explore, what you are here to experience in a collective of people, but also just how you are transforming as an individual yourself. So, and if you want to know a little bit more about how this time period is going to work with you, then look at sort of that Aquarius house in your chart. It'll show you a little bit about where it's transforming your own psyche, where you are having possible massive destruction of an old way of operating or thinking, or just even conforming to what have you. You're sort of going through your own little mini death and transformation in this area of your life, so that you can rebirth, so that you can transform, right? So that you can fully participate in your evolution and growth. So what else should I mention about Pluto? Pluto will transform us from the inside out. It will obviously impact us individually, but it will have the power to change a collective of people as we each change from an individual level in our own life, and it impacts everyone around us. So grab you a drink. I jotted down some things as we think back, or as we talk a little bit about Pluto being in retrograde, and just sort of going through our lives, some things to look for, maybe some questions to ask yourself. We go through Pluto retrograde every year. It's not anything like, I think, new that happens annually, but it's definitely a powerful time. And it's definitely a time that I think we can sort of forget, or just it goes unnoticed at how much we have been transforming in this particular area in our life. So look at your Aquarius house to find out more. I know if you are an Aries rising, Pluto is in your 11th house right now. If you are a Taurus rising, Pluto is in your first house right now. Wait, what am I saying? No, your 10th house right now. If you are a Gemini rising, Pluto is in your 9th house right now. If you are a Cancer rising, Pluto is in your 8th house right now. If you are a Leo rising, Pluto is in your 7th house right now. If you are who did I say last? Leo. So if you are a Virgo rising, Pluto is in your 6th house right now. If you are a Libra rising, Pluto is transiting your 5th house right now. If you are a Scorpio rising, Pluto is in your 4th right now. If you are a Sagittarius rising, Pluto is in your 3rd house right now. If you are a Capricorn rising, Pluto is in your 2nd house right now. If you are if you are an Aquarius rising, Pluto is in your 1st house right now. And if you are a Pisces rising, Pluto is in your 12th house right now. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea for which areas of your life Pluto is working in. And perhaps, think about these areas. And, if you need help understanding a little bit more about, well, what area does this deal with, or what have you, excuse me, I can go over that a little bit for you. So in your 1st house, it's your spirit, knowledge of self, your health, your vitality, your way of life, your identity, style. 2nd house, it's your income, your self-esteem, things you have that are valuable, your livelihood, your worth. Your 3rd house is going to be your mindset, communication, siblings, short distance travel, your neighborhood, local area. Um, if it is your fourth house, it's going to be your home, your house and home of family, your foundation, your roots, your ancestry, your lineage, conditioning, things of that nature. Fifth house is going to be your creative energy. It's going to be how you have fun. It shows kids and pleasure and hobbies, your entertainment, self-expression, ultimately recreation. Your sixth house is going to be about your routines, nutrition, your lifestyle habits. It can show your injuries, health, service. Your seventh house is your life partners, your contracts, your open enemies, relationships with other people, one-on-one partnerships. Your eighth house, death, endings, beginnings, rebirth, all the stuff we're talking about Pluto, healing, sudden loss, things of that nature. Other people's money. Your ninth house is going to be about discovery, truth, worldviews, belief systems, God, the divine, higher learning, foreigners. Your 10th house is going to show your career, your advancement in life, what you're known for, your roles, your profession, fame, your bosses, your long-term goals, things of that nature. Your 11th house is sort of like that Aquarius energy, your community, your friend groups, your memberships. It's also considered a house of blessings, your colleagues, alliances, your hopes. And your 12th house is a sort of like a house where you go to detach and release. It's a house of spirituality. Can be a house of the self-undoing or suffering. Hidden house is a private space, a retreat, solitude, and the list can go on, my friends. So I'm not sure where these areas are for you, but you will definitely know over a almost 20-year period of time with Pluto going through this house. You will ultimately have a complete transformation and rebirth, hopefully, in this area of your life. I know personally, dealing with Pluto in your life can be a tough lesson, because it is about death. It is about loss. Sometimes it's about not all that is hurting or harming us, but the way we harm and hurt ourselves. Sometimes it's about our own self-destruction in order to bring us to a place where we can ultimately see that we need to transform. We need to transmute, right? We need to regenerate and have a transformation so that we can get to renewal and a place of rising from the ashes, sort of like the phoenix. So I wrote down some things that I wanted to mention about maybe some things you can look for around this time. So as I mentioned earlier, Pluto will be retrograde starting on the 6th of May until around the 15th of October, depending on where you are. And so it will start, it starts retrograding at the degree of 5 degrees and 30 minutes of Aquarius. And so what I always like to do is sort of look back over where is this Pluto journey, right? Because in our individual lives, Pluto is trying to, especially Pluto retrograde, I should say, it is trying, in any retrograde, I guess for that matter, is trying to help you understand something, believe it or not, about your journey in life, about the journey maybe of that time, or the journey in people you love life, or your career, or just whichever area this is happening for you. And so Pluto is at 5 degrees and 30 minutes of Aquarius when it starts this May 2026 retrograde. And when we get to October 15th and or around that period, it will be at 3 degrees and 4 minutes of Aquarius. So it's going to take us back about 2 degrees and some minutes, around that third degree time frame. And so I always like to ask myself, well, when was that time frame? Well, that time frame was around the middle of January 2026 when Pluto was at around that third degree mark in Aquarius. And so, what I always like to do, because Pluto is such a psychological planet, Pluto is the planet that is wanting us to understand our own evolution, who we are and where we're going, especially in this area of our charts. So I asked myself, and would like to offer here to the collective on YouTube, what were the months prior like for you? What were these months prior like for you? So starting in January 2026, so we'll look at January, maybe December, and maybe even November. What was that energy like with Pluto in that area of your chart, in your life like? Ask yourself these things. And I wrote down a couple things from that time period, just things that I really and guys, that I really just ask myself, especially when I'm working with energy in astrology in my own natal chart. First question, you ready? What or who was blocking or trying to block your full life transformation, your rebirth, or maybe even your authenticity, So when you think back over that period of time, and I know for some people it's kind of hard, right, to go back. But if you watch my channel, you know that I'm a cast your mind, go back kind of gal. I love to sort of see where I've been so I know where I'm going in life. I think it's very powerful to know what we're doing so we aren't going back over old energy or patterns that the universe is trying to get us to fully release so that we can be who we need to be and to evolve into where we are going next. So the next question, where were you fearful, perhaps ashamed, maybe even a little traumatized in your life? Pluto can sometimes deal with these areas. It can sometimes deal with crises or trauma, or sometimes when you're working with the energy of Pluto, you realize certain fears you have around things and why you might be having this psychological reaction to this area in your life. Next question. Perhaps what were secrets that were trying to reveal themselves to you? Maybe even if it was not about you, it could have been like someone in your life or something in the media, that you were seeing, secrets that were being uncovered in the collective that were pretty profound around that time. And, it could be about people, places, things, but it caught your attention. Because I do believe that Pluto is here to work with us individually so that it helps us transform the collective, especially in the sign of Aquarius. The next question that you can ask yourself is, were there any addictions, perhaps taboo subjects around, your time period in life or time period in life for other people that, perhaps needed to be addressed, um, but addressed perhaps in a way without disillusion or aggression, maybe addressing it in a way that allows to bring you to full transformation. If there's anything I know that we cannot handle Pluto's energy with aggression. Okay, Pluto is just not the planet for that. We literally have to surrender to Pluto, and we have to understand that Pluto is here to help us uncover and sort of unearth the underworld in our worlds, the underworld around us. And so a lot of times we can't do that with the energy of aggression, right? The energy of fighting. I mean, we can, but ultimately Pluto will win. Ultimately, Pluto will claim the victory, and we will learn yet another powerful lesson about who we are and what we are here to experience. So where was Pluto having its own way in your life? I think as we retrograde and we go throughout this period, these are things and these are lessons in our life that we're going back over. These are things around our life, energies around our life, whether you're having Pluto transit your 12th house and it's about recognizing your own self undoing, or being confronted with perhaps hidden hidden enemies, or things and vices that are hidden from you that could potentially be your enemy. So, what is next? We ask ourselves these questions. How can I use this Pluto retrograde period to acknowledge my truth? Okay. Be empowered by my subconscious, surrender my aggression, and bring my mind and my ability to understand, to reason, and be enlightened, by what Pluto is bringing about in my own life. Being a little bit more curious. I think we have Uranus now in the game here during this retrograde period with Pluto. Uranus and Gemini, I should say, and it's making a trine aspect, which is good. It's good because we get that opportunity to be a little bit more curious. If we know anything about Gemini energy can just be that sense of, how should I approach this? It is more on the mental plane, and it's thinking about this psychological awakening that I'm having versus acting in this moment. So allow Pluto retrograde to bring you to this powerful transformation. It's already begun its work, and it's going to be doing its work, friends, in our lives from now until October, where it will go back to that 3 degrees and 4 minutes, and it will start going forward, moving forward again. Okay. And then we will be done with that area in our lives, and we will move on to the next selection that Pluto wants to bring forth for the next 2 decades. So Pluto will give us a powerful transformation. Pluto will give us a powerful rebirth and or regeneration if we allow it. Or, and I do say or, because Pluto does have the power to bring about destruction, slow desperation, and eventual death if we don't utilize Pluto's power to our benefit. So I know this was a little bit heavier than a lot of my other videos, but I think Pluto retrogrades can be a very positive, powerful time for us to get in our psychologies and work with this energy, and to have Uranus and Gemini now trining this time for us is just all the better, right? And it's something that I don't think we've ever experienced, having Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in Gemini sort of working together to help us transform, to help us have this rebirth, or this regeneration as individuals, as a collective, as a world. I just think it's going to be a very powerful time. So if this resonates with you, and you get some time to go back over this energy and think about this area of your life where Pluto is working at for you, please feel free to comment, to share in the comment section. And yeah, and I will be back with more videos to talk about this time throughout, perhaps maybe like a wrap up of how did this Pluto retrograde period go for you. So with that, my friends, I hope you have a great time of introspection as Pluto in Aquarius retrogrades and works its magic in your own life. All right, so peace and blessings, and I'll see you on the next video.